afternoon. Let's go ahead and call this Pompano Beach City Commission meeting to order, June the 11th, 2024 at 1 o'clock. If I could ask everyone to please silence your cell phones or put them on vibrate during the meeting. That way we don't get disrupted by a telephone call. That would be ideal. Thank you for that. Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier?
Here.
Commissioner Moss?
Here.
Commissioner Perkins?
Here.
Commissioner Seegerson-Eaton?
Here.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Here.
Mayor Harton?
Here. Our invocation today will be given by Pastor Brandon Jones, Mountain Calvary Baptist Church. If we can all please rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Good afternoon, Pastor.
Good afternoon, Mayor Harden, and to this distinguished body. It's always a pleasure to be in your presence. As we pray, I was informed of some information from one of our local parishioners, pastors. Pastor Rich is under the weather, so I ask that you all keep him in your prayers. Amen. Dear God, we come this afternoon seeking your guidance and seeking your presence in this commission meeting. We thank you for the opportunity of life and the opportunity to be in this place to make humanity, the place of humanity, a better residence to live. We ask, Father, that you will continue to bless those who lead this great city, continue to be in their hearts as they make their decisions. We thank you for the community residents who come out to express their concerns. We pray that their concerns do not fall on deaf ears. We thank you, Father, for your amazing grace. It is in Jesus Christ's name we do pray. Amen.
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 I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Can I get a motion approving the regular City Commission meeting minutes of May the 28th, 2024?
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. On our agenda today, we will be postponing item number 11 until the September 10th meeting. So item number 11 is postponed until September 10th. Mr. Harrison, any other changes to our agenda?
No, sir.
Very good. Can I get a motion approving the agenda as amended?
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. On our consent agenda this afternoon, we will be pulling items number 1 and 2 for individual discussion. So 1 or 2 can be discussed during audience to be on the regular agenda. So items 3, 4, and 5 are eligible for discussion during audience to be heard. All right. That takes us up to special presentation. We have a special commendation. Major David Elwood of the Broward Sheriff's Office will commend Pompano Beach businesses that helped raise over $20,000 for Special Olympics during the months of April and May 2024. Those businesses will be presented with tokens of appreciation from BSO. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. The Pompano Core team participated and raised money for the Law Enforcement Torch Run in March and April. Law Enforcement Torch Run raises awareness and funds for the Special Olympics movement. This year, CORE was able to raise over $20,000 with donations and fundraisers that would not be possible without the help of business owners throughout the city of Pompano Beach. We would like to thank all those that sponsored events and or provided significant donations for our raffles. Pompano Beach BSO raised the most amount of money for this very important charity, the Special Olympics. We would like to call up some of the businesses who are here today and show our appreciation.
All right.
City of Pompano Beach Cultural Affairs.
Right.
The City of Pompano Beach Parks and Recreation. The City of Pompano Beach Fire Rescue. Kill Winds.
Right.
the Goodyear blimp.
All right.
Thank you, I appreciate it. We're going
Thank-
to take a quick picture with everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you, Major. Appreciate all you guys have done, and of course, all the businesses as well. Great cause, great cause. They're gonna, I guess they're gonna do it right over there. You want to do it over here? Yeah, let's get them, yeah, sure. Let's get them set up over here.
Ready? 1, 2. Got it. Thank you very much.
All right, and next we've got a proclamation for Code Compliance Appreciation Week. I'm going to proclaim Code Compliance Appreciation Week in the City of Pompano Beach. Code Compliance Director Mario Sotolongo will accept the proclamation on behalf of the City of Pompano Beach Code Compliance Officers, right over here. All right, these are the folks that work every day to try and make sure our city is the best it can be as far as aesthetics and safety and all kinds of stuff. Thank you for that. Code Compliance is the unsung heroes of the City of Pompano Beach. They're out there working day in and day out. Yes, here, here. Code Compliance really is the backbone of our city. They keep our city looking nice, and it's a hard job because not everybody likes rules, but rules are important to keep our city looking good. Thank you. Whereas Code Compliance officers provide for the safety, health, and welfare of the citizens in this community through the administration of building, zoning, housing, animal control, fire safety, environmental, and other codes and ordinances. And whereas Code Compliance officers are responsible for improving neighborhoods and the quality of lives of the residents in our community. And whereas every day, assisted by support and program staff, they attempt to provide quality customer service to the public for the betterment of the community. And whereas too many times their efforts go unnoticed, even after code compliance has been accomplished due to their efforts and expertise. And whereas code compliance officers are dedicated, well-trained, and highly responsible individuals who take their job seriously and are proud of their department and the local government within which they serve. And whereas the Florida Association of Code Enforcement, FACE, has declared the first week of June to be set aside by local government to honor and recognize their code compliance officers. Now, therefore, I, Rex Harden, Mayor, on behalf of the City Commission of Pompano Beach, do hereby proclaim June 3rd through the 7th, 2024 as Code Compliance Officers Appreciation Week and encourage all citizens of Pompano Beach to join us in expressing appreciation for the dedication and outstanding service provided by the individuals who serve as our Code Compliance Officers. Done this 11th day of June, 2024. Rex Harden, Mayor. Thank you, Mario Sotolongo, our Code Enforcement Supervisor, and all of our officers for everything you do every single day to keep our city great. Thank you. Here to say a few words, Mario.
What can I say, sir?
Well, let me say, next year we'll do it a week early.
Thank you very much, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, residents. This is a very nice surprise. It's a beautiful day in here. It's a lousy day out there, but this is a group effort. We couldn't do this without the support of so many departments and agencies within the city, BSO, Public Works, Animal Control, and so on and so forth. This is a first of its kind for me, and I'm extremely proud of the group of young men and women here behind me. It's a tough job. We accept that, but we do it with pride. And if we are not, please let us know. There is definitely room for improvement, but again, we work hard to make this the best city that it can be, and I believe we're getting there. Pompano is definitely on the map, and we're very proud of working for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you all, Code and Compliance Officers. Thank you, each and every one. Thank you so much. Appreciate all you guys do. Thank you. All right, that takes us up to audience to be heard. Kervin, do we have anyone signed up for audience to be heard today?
Yes, we do, Mayor. We have a total of 4 speakers.
Very good.
First speaker, Tashawnwa Thomas. Sorry about that. Followed by Ed Phillips, followed by Pat Anderson, followed by Vicente Throw.
Just name and address for the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Okay, hello, I'm Tashana Thomas. I'm located at 475 Southeast 1st Street in Pompano. Hey, Allison, I love your work. I'd like to first bring to the attention the environmental concerns of the 4th of July spectacular being held, or being planned. So sorry, I'm a little nervous. Yeah, so it's advertised on the city's website as being environmentally friendly and non-harmful to marine life, but every scientific study I've ever reviewed of fireworks show that they aren't good for the environment at all. And then on top of that, it's also being hosted on the beach during turtle nesting season, and we do a lot to protect the turtles. So I just feel like it's a contradiction to fund a fireworks display on the beach during the middle of turtle nesting season. And then also, I think they were saying that, yeah, it's advertised as environmentally friendly, but there's no scientific justification posted to that statement either. So, yeah, I'd like to request that that decision be reconsidered, especially the fireworks display. As far as why, like I said, we have a sustainability coordinator, an environmental services director, and a marine advisory committee. And it has been brought to my attention that I believe our waste cleanup crew is supposed to be over making sure that that gets cleaned, but I'm also just like, we wouldn't have to clean up anything if we didn't put it in there. So as far as the whole entire fireworks, yeah, it's really bad for the environment without it having any scientific proof to it. It's very misleading to advertise it as an eco-friendly or non-harmful. It's going to trigger a lot of veterans PTSD and hurt shorebirds. So I think that the city should definitely reconsider funding that or possibly move to a drone show. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And I know that Mark Boudreau, our Parks and Rec Director, is looking into those exact issues. Thank you. Next speaker.
Ed Phillips.
Mayor, Commissioner, City staff, my name is Ed Phillips. I currently reside at 384 Northwest 19th Street, Pompano Beach. And so it begins. Mayor, Commissioners, I am here this afternoon to compliment BSO. Here recently, we saw a couple of news articles on TV where BSO took the initiative to reach out and try to resolve issues that this community has for a number of years complained about, and one is the number of deaths in our city. It has been long thought that nothing was being done to respond to those deaths, but I can tell you that BSO has shown us and is continuing to show us that they are responding. I understand that they issued something like 118 to 132 warrants. I had 118 to 132 warrants, but let me preface it by saying this, Mayor. This is not something that we should celebrate. It is something that we should recognize. it is a problem, it is an issue, and maybe we can find some other avenues by which we can train some of these folks who are out here selling drugs with no skills to have some skills. And so oftentimes where we have a problem, we may have an opportunity. I'll close by saying I still have hope and faith with the spirit of inclusion.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Appreciate it. Next speaker.
Pat Anderson.
Very good.
This is Pat Russell Anderson. I'm a 30-year resident in a lovely house on the water on Sailfish Canal for over 30 years. 2650 Northeast 24th Street, Pompano Beach. All of the houses in Sailfish Canal are on the water, Sailfish Canal, and it is all Pompano Beach, except for one house next door to me got its address changed and zip code changed to 2642 Northeast 24th Street, 33064, Lighthouse Point. And I want to tell you that there was a smash that has no record of it, and I got a code citation for it. And Mario, we know you do a wonderful job, but you forgot to take a look at the damage of my house. You forgot. I wrote to you, but you just left it off. And there are 50 permits that are shared between Pompano and Lighthouse Point, and there's only one attorney, Chris Ema, who changed the house number next door to me because it was a home lien on it for $785 via AT&T, and they mistakenly identified it as my house. So I got identity theft, and I told you all about that. And so what happened is the first 10 permits for Pompano Beach and Lighthouse Point, Mr. Berman, you left off. You were in that first 10. You got tucked in there. It went on for 7.5 years now. And what you see now is Michael Peasy is your attorney for you when you fired my special expediter, Miguel Nunez, who was doing a very fine job. You not only fired him, but you closed my permit, which wasn't finished. That's not right. That man has lost his whole, it's been sad. And this is a very sad day for me to be here and tell you how sad this is, because the house next to me now has a new house number, and it's an old house with a new house number, and it's advertised in multiple listings, and all of our 4 wonderful newspapers, magazines, all have been frauded. They are all wrong.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. I appreciate it.
It's more than appreciation. This is corruption, and it's duplicating everything that's happened down in Miami.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. That's
See, there's 2 sides.
Ms. Anderson, thank you. I appreciate you being here.
It's your responsibility, too.
We've gone through this many times. Thank you.
It's going to be in Channel 10.
Very good. Have a good
And
day.
Army Corps of Engineers is very upset with
Ms.
this
Anderson,
situation.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next speaker.
Thank you.
Vincente Thrower, Pompano Beach. Mayor, well, I'm here to talk about this BSO situation also. Mayor, I'm going to be honest and straightforward with all of y'all. The city of Pompano Beach and our residents, we elect you all to represent us. We didn't elect the sheriff to be our chief spokesperson to talk about what you all need to do and how y'all need to make improvements and the things you offer and do for us. I don't think this body should be taking a lecture from somebody we contract with. If you have an opinion about something that this body should be doing, you should talk to them behind closed doors. And it really offended me, all due respect, Mayor Todd, to see our vice mayor give an interview after he just tried to say that we're not doing enough, that you all are not doing enough. We pay this guy close to $60 million a year. And then he has our chief standing behind him with our former chief while he gives a lecture about what you all need to be doing better. How about he come and tell us about what grant programs and what funding he's providing? Any other company that gets that type of money would give and do some stuff for our community and try to show us what a partnership really looks like. Instead, he lectures somebody and talks about what you all need to be doing better. To the mayor, to Commissioner Moss, was he there with you when you went to visit that family whose daughter had got shot and killed? To Commissioner Perkins, was he there with you when the parents whose son got shot over at the park to go see them? Mayor, was he there with you when you had to take all this grief from us every time about his behavior and what he doesn't come to until you all called him to the table? So to me, we need to stop taking his crap. He works for this body, and to get on national television and to lecture you all, that is not his job. If the city manager had took that, and he degrades our city manager when he does that, because honestly, we need to figure out how do we strengthen our contract. He had two of our chiefs behind him when he degraded us, the current chief and the former chief. You're not helping us, you're doing your job. And to our vice mayor, that's his responsibility. We're not here to be pacified by his comments. Just because you have an election cycle, don't make us your doormat. And we should not be sending that signal that he can do so. So I'm asking you all to really think about how you all are going to address his verbal disrespect to our city. Because Lord knows, Mayor, if Pat Lockins was still living, he'll say something to him. And you know what his words would have been. We need to stop this bleeding because he's getting out of hand. And this coming from somebody who was a sergeant in Coral Springs. You can't tell Pompano Beach what to do when you wasn't nothing but a sergeant.
Thank you, Mr. Thrower. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Thrower. Appreciate your comments. And
Mayor?
Commissioner Perkins.
Yes, I was aware of the press conference the day before. I guess I was notified about 6 the day before and contacted the morning of 10 minutes before the press conference. And I did not understand why the press conference was being held in Fort Lauderdale, downtown Fort Lauderdale, where the problems are right here in Pompano. I did not understand that. I think what BSO is doing to some degree is a good job, some degree not a good job. It was not a good feeling to see 132 Black African American males displayed on TV regarding the arrests, I guess, that happened within the last 3 to 5 whatever months. I do think that arresting these men is one thing, because of course we do want to get murderers, of course, off the street. It was a good thing to show the guns and what they've retrieved. However, that is not the solution to the problem. It could be a start, but I do think there needs to be more interaction, as I've stated before, with the community to get rid of this crime. Now, if we're moving them away from the stores, the convenience stores, and saying no loitering, where are we moving them to? Because they're not just going to go away, so we need a plan. Are we pushing them toward apartments where we have children to sell their drugs? We've got to come up with solutions because this is just one part of it. I don't know basically what all of the, I guess the Operation Triggered Lock is all about. That was my first time hearing of it. I still think there's a disconnect in the community because these guys were arrested. Is not the solution. It's probably a start to some degree, but there still needs to be more connectivity with the community. So I don't know why all of this is going on now and we're putting these demands on the sheriff to do all these things now because it's election time. We've been having the shootings in Pompano for the last 3 or 4 years, but all of a sudden everybody's bringing attention to it now because it's election time. So I'd just like to know what's going to happen after the November election. Will the heat stay on the community to resolve some of these issues, or will it all go away again? But the last statement is you got to do something, BSO, to work with the community to help resolve these problems because they're not going to go away. Thank you.
Very good. Yes, Commissioner Perkins, I agree. And I found out the night before about the press conference also, which, of course, I couldn't be there. I had other things scheduled the next day, and I'm sorry, the fact that the sheriff decides to call a press conference at 6 o'clock in the evening before he does it. I've got my schedule I have to go through, but I do question, as you do, the timing of things. We've had a problem in Pompano Beach, and it's BSO, great force. We've got great people, but we've had a problem in Pompano Beach for some time. And if over the past 2 or 3 months, the sheriff, through his office, was able to come up with this grand plan and execute it, well, what about the past few years? And we've had people getting killed in our streets. Why wasn't it done before? Why did we have to wait until now? Yeah, we do have more to do. BSO has more to do, but the timing, and yeah, if the sheriff wants to come and have a sit down and have a chat with us about things he thinks we need to do, I'm welcome to have that kind of discussion. But yeah, I too was a little taken back, as Mr. Thrower pointed out. I was a little taken aback by the tone that the sheriff took at that press conference, as well as previously on these matters. So yeah, it's nice that he finally decided to do something. Thank you. Commissioner Fournier.
Thank you, Mayor. Like everyone up here, I found out about the press conference at the last minute, but I was able to make it down there. I also was familiar with the operation they've been doing because I was able to ride along with a deputy and see firsthand this operation Trigger Lock. So I think the operation itself isn't the issue. The timing certainly is, and the press conference is. I was surprised by the tone of his comments. This is a partnership, and the city does have responsibility, but we don't need to be lectured on that. And it felt more like BSO pointing the finger at us. They said, they did their part, now it's up to us to do everything else. And that's not the way a partnership works. So the timing of it is a little suspect, and the tone was altogether uncomfortable. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Vice Mayor.
Yes, I too, found out about it that night, but was fortunately able to be down there. And when I first started hearing about the Trigger Lock and the accomplishments of BSO, I was pretty excited until the actual press conference happened. And yes, this isn't a situation that's ever going to be fixed instantaneously by one measure that one group does. It has to be a continued fight with the city and BSO and the community working together, not pointing fingers and placing blame and trying to come up with ideas that are just not legal for the city to try and implement, and those types of things. And so yeah, it was shocking because we do need to all work together. We all, I think, care so much about Pompano from the city side, from the community side, from BSO side, and that's what we need to get all on the same page and come together. So I do hope that the sheriff takes you up on the offer to come down here and speak with us directly and come up with continuation of plans and other operations and just other steps we can all take to work together, all three factions, to try and get this bad element to be erased from our city for good. So thank you.
Very good, thank you. All right, that concludes audience to be heard.
One other thing.
Commissioner Perkins.
With the sheriff, because of the issues and problems we've been having with the gun violence in the Northwest, I've never received a call from him ever saying, I'd like to meet with you, or I don't know whether you have, Commissioner Moss, because we have the most shootings in our district. It just seems if you really care about trying to resolve these crimes, you would meet with the district commissioners and see if they have any solutions to what's going on. And I've never received any calls from him ever saying that, I need to meet with you because of what's going on in your district. So I think that's something we need to consider. I know we had a march, or they had a march at Mohorn's Church a while back after the shooting. And I thought it was very insulting for the sheriff to be a part of the march when he have the answers to some of these problems that we're having. And he chose to walk and march down the street with the people yelling and hollering, stop the violence. And there's a lot more that he can do, we can do, the community can do, but he's not sitting down talking with me or Commissioner Moss. So I think that's a start there, and meeting with us is where he needs to start, because he hasn't done it before, but now is a good time. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. That concludes audience to be heard. Let's move on to our consent agenda. Can I get a motion approving these items 3 through 5?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Item number 1 is a resolution.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, approving the amended and restated Northwest CRA plan for the Pompano Beach Community Redevelopment Agency, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. This item was pulled by Commissioner Perkins. Commissioner?
I just wanted to know what were the amendments and reinstated for the Northwest.
Yes, good afternoon. Kimberly Vasquez, CRA Senior Project Manager. The Northwest Plan was brought to you as the CRA Board on May 21st. We presented it at that time. There were no further revisions after we presented it, but I'll just quickly go through them for you. We just as you recall, on this Northwest CRA plan, it was substantially updated and amended back in 2021. So the ones that were brought before you at the May meeting were minor in nature. And it was really updating and changing the term of the Innovation District and making it more over to the downtown just for consistency in placemaking and branding purposes. It extends the duration of the Northwest Plan to December 31st, 2049. At the end of and this will be the end of the 60-year term of the Northwest CRA, and this has already been approved by the Broward County Board of County Commissioners. Under Section 5 of the plan, which is really your downtown redevelopment, Old Town is really defining that downtown master plan project. And then under Section 5, the marketing and special events, we really changed the language to make it more in compliance with the state statute as it stands now under 163 Part 3. Under Section 5, we've just referenced back to the interlocal agreement with the taxing authorities, the city, and the CRA. Those were the amendments that were brought before you as the CRA board on May 21st. And there's been no further additions to those edits.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public, please come forward. Name and address for the record.
Mayor, Ed Phillips, 384 Northwest 19th Street, Pompano Beach. Mayor, I think I was here at that May meeting and for the amendment, and it kind of took me aback about can she elaborate a little bit more on the marketing and special event adjustment or amendments that you did? Because that caught my attention. The reason it caught my attention is so many other CRAs seem to do what we're trying not to do. Can you explain that?
Well, yeah, that is interesting, and it's
yeah, that is interesting. I'd like
got under expert legal guidance that we're complying with the law. That's what the
well, let me hear her part, and then I'll attempt to make some.
I think she's going to say pretty much the same thing. Mm-hmm. Under expert legal guidance.
I don't think that part is complying with the law, but let me hear that part.
Basically, back in 2019, the Florida legislature changed the Part 163.3 regarding marketing and special events that CRAs can do. It has changed more to it needs to be dissemination of information regarding CRA projects. We can do events, but they have to be project related, like we did Annie Adderley Gillis ribbon cutting. That we could do because it was a CRA initiated project. At one point, the CRA was sponsoring and doing the Untapped to bring attention to the Old Town and downtown area. Once it started to convert over to being a community, more of a community-oriented type event, we had to transition it under the CRA to the city because it had served its purpose as a CRA initiative. Those are a couple of examples. Back in 2019, language changed from, what was it, not including but limited to, and there's certain initiatives that the CRA is now limited that we can do. So that's why it changed.
So Mayor, so there's a difference between CRA-sponsored events and community-sponsored events. Is that the?
Yes, sir.
So does CRA sponsor community events?
As Ms. Vasquez just explained, CRA is very limited in what we can expend dollars
That's what I'm
for.
trying to understand, because my point here is that I would hate to see those kind of windows so narrow where there's no flexibility in trying to get dissemination of various forms of information out to the neighborhood. We already have a information block in some cases anyway. And so any avenue or area where there appears to be some narrowing of dissemination in any kind of manner, I just have some concern about.
Yeah, that's the state legislature changed the rules back in 19.
And I don't have a problem with the state legislature. I want to make a point here to say this so that we here who start interpreting what can be done understand that it should not be so narrow. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you. Further input from the public? His name and address for the record?
Hello, Tashana Thomas, MV Pompano, 475, what is that, Southeast 1st Street. I would like to just mention that I would like to include, or I wish that our city included more mixed zones or zones for mixed use in the upcoming plans. So the west side, or as soon as you get off Atlantic, you make a left and go through the, what is that, Blanche Ely, and basically that whole neighborhood over there. There's really no place to get fresh food, or like there's a lot of food deserts within the city, especially in the northwest, the west, and a few other places that also don't have like sidewalks or bike paths. And I would just really like for the CRA to look into those kinds of resources.
Very good. Thank you for that. Further input from the public? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion. Questions? Commissioner Fournier.
Thank you. I have one question, Ms. Vasquez. Does this plan have any implications for the community garden?
When you're referring to the community garden, when we started that, it also fell under prior to that 2019 initiative. At this point, we've kind of reached our life limit on the community garden. We're currently talking with the Parks and Recreation Department about transitioning that particular garden aspect under the city.
Okay.
So it will be removed out of our budget moving forward.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good. Further commission discussion, questions? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
No.
Commissioner Sigerson-Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes. Item 2 is a resolution.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, approving the amended and restated East CRA plan for the Pompano Beach Community Redevelopment Agency, providing an effective date.
So moved. Second.
Moved and second for discussion. This item was pulled by Commissioner Fournier. Commissioner?
Thank you. Ms. Vasquez, I have a couple questions on this one also. So implied in this plan is an extension of the East CRA beyond the 2031 when it's expected to sunset now. Will the TIF funding just be from the city at that point?
Yes, once the initial term expires in December 31st, 2031, we're projecting to extend the duration of the CRA out the additional 30 years, which we're allowed to do under current statute, and go forward after that initial term limit with city TIF only.
Okay. So I appreciate the work that's gone into this plan. We discussed this at the CRA board meeting. I can't support an extension of the East CRA another 30 years after 2031, even as just a bonding entity, which I think that's in part what we're going to use it for, to complete the McNabb House and Gardens. We need some urgency on the McNabb House and Gardens, and giving ourselves another 7 years and another 30 years doesn't really create any sense of urgency. So while I appreciate the plan, I think 2031 is the redevelopment effort of the East CRA has been a success. We have attracted private investment. I think, like I said at the last meeting, it's time to take a victory lap on this and figure out a different way to execute the McNabb House and Gardens. So, thank you.
Very good. Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Please come forward. Just name and address for the record.
Pat Russell Anderson, and I'm an artist for National Wildlife Federation throughout the different parks. I'm very close to McNabb Park. I used to have my classes there. And of course, you know, I work with ball and chain and Maikai. And when the house was moved, it was a wonderful occasion. And then it got moved, and it was really a shame it had to be readjusted to a different position. It's going to be beautiful. And I love the botanical gardens, and I would like to make a suggestion. I don't want to lose McNabb Park as a facility for artists to paint. And I was just thinking, you know about my leaf bar table easels that are going to be made out of recycled plastic trash. I would love to have a certain group, local artists or whatever, but I would like to use McNabb Park. I know they're going to have a wonderful restaurant there. I like on Mondays, I'd like the restaurant usually is closed. They usually clean up and do things like that. And wouldn't it be nice if we had local artists who could enjoy the outdoors, not disturb the restaurant? The restaurant will be closed probably. And I would like to have artists use the leaf bar. I'll teach them how to paint plein air outdoors, breathe the fresh air, and enjoy the foliage. Enjoy that house. That's an iconic house. Let's go draw it and have it as a tourist thing to take people home with an icon. That's what I do. I paint historic houses and stuff. You know that. So anyway, I would like to put that in as a suggestion for Mark Boudreau. I'd love to work with him again. And I'd like to have the review of my classes that I have done there. We had 6 trees in there, and we put leaf bars on all the trees. I'll give you all that sort of thing, but I would love to participate in the restructure of that. I want our park back a little bit. Thanks. That's all, and you're doing a great job.
Very good. Thank you for that, Ms. Anderson. Appreciate your input there. And Mr. Boudreau is in the back listening, and I'm sure once it gets down to programming of that area, he will be in touch. Next speaker. His name and address for the record.
Hi, Audrey Fezzik, 412 Briney Avenue. I just wanted to clarify, what year are you asking for the extension?
The initial term of the ECRA does expire on December 31st, 2031. We're requesting an additional 30-year extension after that, so making the expiration to 2061.
Okay. My concern is kind of the same. I know that CRA has, I think, done a great job. I mean, I remember I went to high school down here. I remember when Atlantic was not as pretty as it is now. The beach area has been, again, victory lap for the CRA, so 100% amazing. The CRA, as far as I know, we're set up to bring development and re-nourish areas that were considered run down, needed redevelopment, and just slum and blight, I think, is used in a few different things. I think we've hit the mark on the East CRA for the most part. We've got a lot of great projects that are still being wrapped up, but I think another 30 years might be a little bit more than we need on that side. I think we could just kind of say mission accomplished and maybe start spending that or move it to areas near there, perhaps, that could potentially use the same sort of attention that the East has gotten. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you. Further input from the public? Seeing none, public input closed. Just a couple of things, Ms. Vasquez. Now, you're talking about extending the CRA out for another 30 years to 2061. Is there a requirement, once we extend it out, that we keep it until 2061?
No, Mayor, there's not.
We could end it at any time,
Exactly.
subject to bond covenants and things of that nature. We as the governing body could say in 2033, if we decided, boom, CRA, we're doing away with it, let's put all the tax dollars back into the general fund and be done with it that way. So we're not obligated to keep it extended like that. Now, on the McNabb House, is the McNabb House not planned to be done until 2061?
Oh, no, we're working on that right now. I mean, it'll be done prior to that.
Well, Commissioner Fournier, she was talking about a sense of urgency for the McNabb House, and I thought we had a sense of urgency for the McNabb House.
Oh, no, we do.
Okay.
We're working on it right now. In fact, we met with the team today to start the site plan process. This would be more for if we do issue bond, which we have projected that we will do, is that we would carry out additional years, allowing us to extend out the debt service that we would need to pay off that bond.
Because do you have an anticipated completion date for the McNabb House and Gardens?
Once you bond, you technically are supposed to utilize that funds within 3 years. So I think we're looking at 2025, not 2025, excuse me, probably 26, 27.
To be completed or bonded?
Well, we'd like to have it bonded and at least pretty much under construction and almost complete.
So 2026,
I would say
2026,
within 3 to
2027?
5 years.
Okay, I just wanted to get that on the record, what the plans were for the completion of the McNabb House. Anticipated, no guarantees, I understand. If a hurricane comes through, all bets are off, understood. Yes, thank you. I got Vice Mayor.
Yeah, and just to follow up for clarification, one of the great benefits of us being able to continue our CRA, which, county is not doing new ones, is being able to financially structure and what's most favorable to the city, correct?
That's correct.
So yeah, so even though that has nothing to do with our timeline, it just allows us better financing options.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Further, Commissioner Fournier.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm having deja vu from the conversation at our CRA board meeting about this. So if we issue long-term bonds, we cannot sunset the CRA then, because that is the entity that is financing it, correct?
That's correct. You don't want to sunset while you're still paying debt service. That's correct.
Right. So if and when we issue these bonds, we are effectively locking ourselves into this long-term extension of the CRA. So we can't then say in 2032 or 2033, oh, we're going to sunset it, because we are obligated from the bonds. To me, the promise of a CRA is eliminating slum and blight, reinvestment, encouraging private investment. And like I said, we have accomplished that here. The East CRA is a pretty small target area. And I think the people who have paid into this through the TIF funds over the last 23 years deserve to see that return come back to them, that money come back to the general fund, and it be spent in other places in the city that are perhaps in need of investment more so than the CRA. Thank you.
Very good. Ms. Vasquez, just out of curiosity, if we chose to pay off the bonds in 2032 or 2033, then we can sunset the CRA. Wouldn't that be correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, so at any time, you can pay off bonds. You can refinance bonds in various ways, which the city has done many times, but we could actually pay the bonds off, and that then would give us the flexibility to end the CRA if we so choose. Thank you. Vice Mayor.
I'm just curious, because this is a bit deja vu, as it did come up, is to Commissioner Fournier, is if the idea is to use the CRA to get the best financing options to complete McNabb House and the Botanical Gardens, and you want to do away with the CRA, how would you finance completion?
So, like I said,
yeah.
You're done?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay,
No,
Commissioner Fournier.
So, like I've said a few times, I think that project's we've been talking about it and working on it for 4 years now. It is a long way from completion still. So I have always said that I think we should be looking at some kind of slimmed down version of that, like a 0.5 version, instead of this $20 million version of it, to get something going there. And then, hopefully work on some kind of private-public partnership.
So you would take the project that, So you would take the project that the taxpayers wanted to do, got excited to do, have put money into doing, and just let it sort of sit there and rot away or downsize it as opposed to fulfilling what we told them we would do?
I feel like you're the ones that have been letting it sit there for the last 4 years.
If just to put it out there, since we moved the house, we did have a situation of COVID that happened for a few years, that shut down construction for a while. We had to bring in pipes, electric, everything to a house that's sitting on a park. We're working with bringing in people to do it, and I'd rather us do it at a slightly longer, even though obnoxious timeline, and do it right, than risk all the hard work and money that has gone into this project just to have a speedy result. Thank you.
Very good. Further commission discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier?
No.
Commissioner Moss?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Seegerson-Eaton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Mayor Harden?
Yes, that takes us up to our regular agenda. Items 6 and 7 are quasi-judicial in nature. Mr. Berman will discuss the proceedings. How will we move forward? Mr. Berman.
Thank you, Mayor. Anyone wishing to testify on item number 6 and number 7 must be sworn in and may be subject to cross-examination by the city commission or by interested parties. Individuals who address the commission should state their name and whether they have been sworn. City staff will make its presentation first, followed by the applicant or anyone else who wishes to testify. Following the concluding remarks of the applicant, the hearing will conclude and the commission will make its consideration. All those who wish to testify on items number 6 and 7, please stand at this time. Raise your right hand and the city clerk will swear you in.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence or testimony that you're going to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Right, thank you.
Very good. Item 6 is a second reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, rezoning property lying north and contiguous to 2201 West Atlantic Boulevard from RM12 Multifamily Residence 12 to B3 General Business, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded for discussion. Good afternoon, Ms. Dolan.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commission, Jean Dolan, Development Services. This is the second reading of the applicant's request to rezone the 6 residential lots north of and contiguous to 2201 West Atlantic Boulevard from RM12 to B3, following approval of the concurrent request for commercial flexibility, which occurred at our last meeting on May 28th. There have been no changes since first reading, and I am available if you have any questions.
Very good. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Please come forward. Just give your name and address for the record.
Tashana Thomas, MV Pompano.
I'm sorry, ma'am. For this, we need to have your address.
475 Northwest 1st Street. My first question would be, have we considered making this a mixed-use zone?
Atlantic Boulevard can be redeveloped as mixed use anytime somebody wants to do that. This is a person who actually has a business that they're expanding.
Okay, my main concern with why I'm saying that things should be mixed use is because historically, once you zone a place for a certain thing, regardless of whether that building does or doesn't exist, it's really hard to get zones rezoned, especially if you want to make them a different kind of purpose. So I feel like it would be best to make more of our zones in Pompano mixed use. That way people can build, have businesses, and be able to walk and go places when they need to rather than drive somewhere else. So I'd just like to, think about those kinds of things when we're zoning and applying for different things. But that's all.
Very good. Appreciate that thought. We agree with you. Thank you. Further input from the public? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion. Commissioner Fournier.
Thank you, Mayor. Is the applicant here?
I did not see them when we swore in, so I expected them here, but I don't see them.
Okay. Do we know if they were able to get an updated trespass affidavit for the property?
I'm not aware of
No.
that.
Okay. It's definitely been cleaned up, and I know Mario has been working with them, so I appreciate that, and I hope they keep it maintained because our residents deserve a safe and clean city, and it is always at the top of their list, and businesses have a role in making that happen. So I appreciate their effort to clean it up and expect that they will keep it that way. Thank you.
Very good. Further commission discussion? Seeing none, let's call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Segerson Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes. Item 7 is the second reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, abandoning 4 non-continuous 25-foot wide right-of-way locations on lots contiguous and north of 2201 West Atlantic Boulevard and east of Northwest 23rd Avenue, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Once again, Ms. Dolan.
Thank you, Mayor. Commission, Jean Dolan, Development Services. This is the second reading of the request by the property owner to abandon rights-of-way that were dedicated via deeds for several properties that have since been purchased for consolidation and redevelopment as part of a commercial property to the south. The affected properties are shown on the screen. There have been no changes since first reading, and staff recommends approval. The staff is available if you have any more questions.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion. Questions? Seeing none, let's call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Segerson Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes, that ends our quasi-judicial proceedings. Item number 8 is a second reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 155 zoning code by amending Section 155.4501 separation requirements for alcoholic beverage establishments to modify distance separation requirements in the city's code of ordinances to correspond with changes in state requirements, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Good afternoon, Mr. Weems.
Good afternoon, Max Weems, Development Services. Yes, this is a second reading of an ordinance to amend our separation requirements for alcoholic beverage establishments. This is the second reading. There have been no changes since the first reading. I'm available for questions.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion. Questions? Seeing none, let's call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Segerson Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes. Item number 9 is a second reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 155 zoning code of the Pompano Beach Code of Ordinances by amending Section 155.4303 standards for specific accessory uses and structures by modifying requirements for stored motor vehicles, recreational vehicles, boats, or trailers on residential property and providing for exemption by amending Section 155.5102 off-street parking and loading to provide approval of surfacing materials for off-street parking and loading areas, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Once again, Mr. McWeems.
Good afternoon again, Max Weems, Development Services. Like the former, this is also a second reading of an ordinance to amend the code section, the standards for parking of recreational motor vehicles, boats, and trailers in residential districts. There have been no changes since the first reading. I'm available for questions.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion. Seeing none, let's call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Absolutely, yes.
Commissioner Segerson Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes. Item number 10 is the first reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, approving and authorizing the proper city officials to execute a parking license agreement between the City of Pompano Beach and Amkin Atlantic Square LLC for the property located at 140 Southeast 28th Avenue, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Good afternoon, Mr. Lance.
Afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Jeff Lance, Parking Manager. The item before you this afternoon is for an agreement with Amkin Atlantic Square for the property located at 140 Southeast 28th Avenue. This area was the former home of the St. Martin's Church. It's just west of the Intercoastal Waterway and adjacent to Harbor Village to the north. The city will use this property as public parking for customers, employees, visitors to our beach, as well as nearby residents, restaurants, and retail establishments. We believe this site will add over 200 parking spaces to our parking capacity. Staff believes that these additional parking spaces will be crucial to support the ongoing and expected development in the area. There will be no permanent improvements to this area, and enforcement will be done by our existing contracted parking management company. Circuit will include this in their daily circulation. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Please come forward. Just name and address for the record. Yes, we do.
Hi, Audrey Fezzik again, 412 Briney Avenue. We do need parking by the beach, and it's wonderful. The only question I have, and I'm sure you've thought of this, is being by the intercoastal, I know there's no improvements. Will there be some sort of barrier to help protect people from maybe no cars into the intercoastal, perhaps?
Correct, yes, that would be one of the non-permanent improvements that we put in place.
Perfect, thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Good thinking. Next speaker.
Hi, it's Shauna Thomas again, 475 First Street. I don't want to infringe upon your work because, like I said, everybody necessarily needs parking, but I do want to just bring to everyone's attention that when you incentivize parking by creating more parking spots, you're incentivizing people to drive their own vehicles. And one of the best things that we can do to kind of fix that is probably invest in public transportation. That way we won't necessarily need to keep buying parking spots and filling up lots full of cars rather than using that land towards better purposes. But you know, like I said, people do drive. We do need parking lots, but I do also want to just point that out, that when you put a parking lot up, you're basically telling people, yeah, we want you to drive here. So we keep adding more parking to the beach, people are going to keep driving there and creating more traffic. But thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Very good. Next speaker. Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion. Questions, concerns? Commissioner Perkins.
I'm trying to locate, you said near Publix?
It's the old St. Martin's Church right at the intercoastal.
Okay. I didn't hear everything you were saying, but what's located there now?
Right now, it's just a bare lot. It's the previous home of the St. Martin's Church, which was removed last year.
Okay, all right, thank you, that's it.
Very good. Vice Mayor?
I just want to thank Mr. Lance and staff for getting this deal to this level, because I know we've all been very concerned of where people are going to park as other lots go under construction and thus forth and everything like that. So thank you so much for bringing this to fruition, and keep up the good work.
Very good. Further commission discussion? Seeing none, let's call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Seegerson-Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes. Item 12 is a resolution.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, approving and authorizing the proper city officials to execute work authorization number 3 in the amount of $149,915 pursuant to the professional consulting agreement between the City of Pompano Beach and Walters Zakaria Associates, PLLC, for architectural services for various city products, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Good afternoon, Mr. Schlaker.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. In 2022, Parks and Recreation had a citywide, I emphasize the word programming and activities report completed to meet residents' needs and priorities. This report outlined a needs assessment based upon a demographic analysis utilizing regional and national trends for recreational and facilities. What you have in front of you today is a work authorization for the approval to have Walter Zachariah Architects and Planners to perform a current assessment of the existing 26 amenities and facilities and make changes necessary to align with the programming report that was previously done in 2022. This does not include any passive parks, by the way. This master plan will assess existing facilities to review and analyze current uses, demands, operation, maintenance procedures, and recommend suitable modifications, improvements, enhancements, additional uses, and potential revenue-generating possibilities, including concessions. Facilities to be analyzed include public parks, recreation centers, aquatic facilities, amphitheater, and athletic sports fields, as listed in your Exhibit A that's attached in your backup. Each will be reviewed, and recommendations for improvements to existing facilities or potential new buildings and facilities to accommodate existing future demands of the community and the city's parks and recreation system. Basically, what we're doing is taking pen to paper now from the initial programming plan or assessment that was done, and now hiring this planning firm to conduct. They have several deliverables to fulfill, have outlook meetings, taken from a macro level to now a micro level. They're going to be responsible to have 2 outreach meetings per district. It's going to be an involved, very detailed process, and meeting with commissioners as well on some of this. There has been, Walter Zachary has met with the current Parks and Recreation Department to lean down to these 26 parks that they felt that was really necessary to address at this particular point in time, as needs change. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Please come forward. Just name and address for the record.
475 First Street. I would like to bring attention to the parks in District 4 and 5,
Ma'am?
I believe.
Ma'am, for the record, need to provide your name.
Oh, so sorry, Tashana Thomas.
Very good.
My first concerns would be with how like these consulting services or who will be getting picked or what parks will be getting picked. Because for the most part, the parks by the beach and on this side of the tracks, they receive a lot of money and attention. But when I go to parks like Apollo, or like I said, I can't think of one specifically in District 5 right now, I'll look around and they're the same parks that basically were out and about in 1998, which is about when I was born. So what I mean by that is I've been to Apollo and I've been going to Apollo for about 20 years now, and it still looks almost the exact same. And within those facilities, the tennis courts, I believe, are almost always locked. But when I go to the community park, it's almost always open and it's clean and the facilities are nice and respectable. So I'm just wondering, like, if this plan is executed, will it be everybody's getting the same amount of money and attention, or will it specifically be, okay, we want these facilities to be just as nice as these, and then once that happens, we'll be putting more money towards things?
Go ahead. You can address it.
Sorry, yeah, no, all the idea is equality. All parks are going to be looked at evenly through all 5 districts, and Apollo Park, which is part of District 4, is going to be looked at as well. That is on the list as well, the 26. So the idea is to provide equality and a master plan and look at each one of those parks in total equality and how what was used 15 years ago, popularity-wise, today is different, as you see with the explosion of pickleball courts and things like that, you know. But it's not just that; it's actually the production, how that facility is really producing for the residents. You know, is it current to the current times and really functional to now, and as well as in the planning for the future.
Okay, thank you. I look forward to seeing what you guys do.
Thank you.
Very good. Further input from the public. Please come forward. Just name and address for the record.
Jocelyn Jackson. Good afternoon, everyone on the panel. That's $149,000. Is this gonna be the total fee, or this the initial fee for them getting you guys to provide the service? This $149,000. Is that right? Is that 149?
Yeah, 149,000. I believe that's for the entire package. That's not construction or anything. That's just for the plan.
Correct. And provide drawings and conceptual plans to provide a pictorial view for people to look at. What was done under the programming plan is a narrative form. Now we're actually putting pen to paper and actually drawing the proposed ideas out and having meetings to discuss that, if that's the goal and the vision that where we want to go in the future.
Okay. So the goals, where you want to go in the future. So this should be done within the community participation, because I have participated in all the parts for many of years, and I'm 54, and all of them do not look the same. Now, we do have some upgrades. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. You know, we have a nice, beautiful, in Commissioners Moss District. It's been a lot of upgrades over at Mitchell Moore. And it has been upgrades over at McNair. And this young lady here spoke about Apollo Park, which I think we are in transitioning for the complex, the larger facility, right? That's a part of Apollo or no?
Well, it's adjacent to Apollo.
It sits behind Apollo.
It's in the vacant parcel that's to the east of Apollo.
Right, okay, so that Apollo still would be separate from,
Apollo Park is Apollo Park, and that's, I'm sure we're looking at Apollo Park.
okay, so when you're looking at Apollo Park, it would be nice for you to communicate with the community. It's very important, because there's things that I see at the other parks that Apollo Park doesn't have, nor Hunter's Park doesn't have. So if those are one of the, out of the 26 parks, I don't know if the 26 parks total all the parks in the city of Pompano Beach, or you only channeling the parks that needs the upgrades.
Correct. After meetings with Walter Zeckera and Parks and Rec staff, they gleaned the 26 that would be the ones that are most pressing at the time. And to answer your question about the outreach, like I said, 2 meetings per district, so we hope that you would attend those.
Of course I will.
And to go over the alternatives, because the architect's responsible for presenting pictorially to you all what the proposed plans are, and at that venue you can get up and speak and say, hey, what your thoughts may be.
Right, because the restrooms are not up the park, at the parks in the northwest area. The parks that I spoke about, they're not up the park. They're not up the park. The playground is not up at the park. So we like to see these things up the park and be fair. And one more thing, and I'm gonna sit down. I hope this be channeled before your completion, because it's evident things are being completed and it's issues after the fact that this should have been larger, this should have been wider, it's not enough parking. So before the completion, it will be wise for the residents as a community to look over the plans as well, not just the commission board, because commission board live where they live. You understand?
Yes,
and us as a community, we want to be able to utilize the benefits such as others.
Right.
That's all. Just, I always say all the time, be fair and transparent. You won't have no issues out of me. Have a good day.
Very good, thank you. Further input from the public, please come forward.
Good afternoon. Ann Bosworth, 4015 West Palm Air Drive. And we are very blessed to have a really nice park in our neighborhood. And I understand when Brummer Park was first developed that there was some feeling from the neighborhood that maybe it wasn't going to be such a great addition. I actually live at the very end of the building that is directly east of the park, and it's wonderful. During the cool months, you can open the window, you hear lots of young people out there enjoying themselves. Everything about that park is great, so I'm really grateful to have it. However, that park also abuts, it runs, the east side of it runs against the parking lot for the condominium next door. And people both in and out of the condominium, for good and bad purposes, walk through the foliage and create an eyesore on my side of the fence by demolishing the foliage. And not every deed that goes on between there is just simply people taking a shortcut through the foliage. There are people who park on one side, on the Brummer side, and then reach through and conduct drug deals there. We have asked for a guard arm to be closed at night and a fence to run behind the foliage so that we could have the nice foliage that protects our parking, and so that it would be clear that there are certain times of day when one cannot park there. Simply putting a sign when there's no one to monitor it doesn't really change the trajectory of who parks there and who doesn't. Furthermore, to I think Jocelyn's point, is that when you don't consult after the fact, you may not realize that there are people using our parking lot as overflow for the park. So when the park is full, people feel free to help themselves to parking in the condominium, and that's not appropriate. And so we would like you to consider adding something that means something to the community, which is simply just a fence behind the foliage and closing that park off at night so that people can't enter in there. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that input. Further input from the public? Seeing none, public input closed. Thank you. Commission discussion. Commissioner Fournier.
Thank you. I know this is architectural services and this is engineering, but when I saw concession stands, it reminded me of a lot of the conversations I hear out at the ball fields where I spend a lot of time in the evenings. And in particular at Four Fields and at Kester Park, we do have concession stands now, but they are never open. So I would like to ask that we work on a plan, I guess Parks and Rec maybe work on a plan for getting some of those concession stands open in the evenings. Maybe the parents can run the concession stands, and it can help defray the costs of some of the youth sports that go on at the fields. But I think it's time. We have those buildings available, and we're not using them. So I'd like us to take a look at that. Thank you.
Very good. John, I got just a couple of things. I didn't see anywhere in the backup the mention of the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee. I mean, I didn't see anywhere.
As far as their involvement?
Yeah. I didn't see them mentioned. I didn't see in any form or fashion. Was I wrong?
No, I don't think you were.
Good afternoon, Mark Boudreau, Recreation Director. So that was addressed in the last Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting. The minutes will be coming out next month. They're off this month and resuming next month.
I don't understand what you mean it was addressed.
About viewing projects and being included.
So I'm correct, there's no mention in here?
Yeah, it doesn't mention it here. That's accurate.
Okay. Was that just an oversight? I'm just trying to, you say it's been addressed at the last Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting.
It was brought up, viewing and being part of inclusiveness about parks and parks-related projects. So
okay.
Cognizant of that.
Okay. That's good.
Tammy Good, CIP Manager. Hello.
Hi, Doctor.
Basically what we'll do is staff will convey all of our plans to the Park and Rec's Advisory Board, because I'm sure there will be multiple meetings. So rather than have the consultant attend each and every time, that's why it's not in his backup or in his scope of services. But the three of us, among other Parks and Rec staff, we will be intimately involved in meeting with all of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board.
Okay, good. I mean, they may have some ideas on how to do things and what needs to be done as well. I mean, that's kind of what they're there for. That's good. Okay, Absolutely. Thank you. But I did see it's not done. But also, and then I'll go to Vice Mayor. But also, you mentioned there's no passive parks are being looked at or at all.
The reason why we didn't include those in this backup is because there's really not much we can do there. If we put any amenity, it basically takes away from the park. If we put a parking lot, there's no longer a park, it's a parking lot. So some of the smaller parks where there's not really much we can do, we kind of left them off of this list, or they were small enough and we could do it in-house. We don't necessarily need the consultant to analyze it in totality like we're doing the rest of the parks. It would be something that in-house staff with Parks and Rec advisors, Parks and Rec staff advising, we could do that in-house.
Okay. Specifically, I was thinking about the Palomera Lakes. We got a lot of lakes out there, a lot of space, and I don't know if there's benches. I don't know what. I understand you don't want to put structures because it's wide open vistas. It's beautiful, but you don't want to put structures. But perhaps benches or something are needed. I don't know, but
Sure.
I do know we got those lakes out there, and it's gorgeous.
And then some of the other larger parcels of parks, we didn't really want. Maybe that would be worthy of a master plan all on its own. So we excluded those from this scope as well.
Right. Of course, some, have just been done with the GEO bond projects. Very good. Thank you. That's all I've got. Thank you. Vice Mayor?
When I'm looking at Exhibit A here, some of the parks have specific projects already attached. Are those suggestions, or are they moving along? And also, is there going to be opportunities for each of us to meet with you guys and the consultant before community meetings, before Parks and Rec, to kind of be brought up together with what we hear as well and what you guys are thinking?
Yeah, just keep in mind, this is a master plan, so we're not going to be creating or producing construction documents for construction. This is a plan that we can utilize for budgeting purposes long-term. So this is probably something that will span over a 10-year term, but it's something that will be in our queue, in our sites. We can budget accordingly. So it's a very dynamic, fluid document. It will change, but at least it's something to kind of work with getting, out of the gate, and we kind of have an idea based on current needs, future needs of what some of these parks would look like in the future based on the programming report that we just received.
So just because it's listed out on Exhibit A, it could alter, change, etc.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Segerson-Eaton?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Yeah, so that's kind of where I was also going. Is there a plan already? Is there a plan? Do you already have, is there documentation of what improvements are going where? Because, I'm not seeing.
No.
I'm not seeing it.
There is no plan. So as Chris mentioned, in 22, we did a needs assessment for programming purposes. And now basically what this document is to evaluate all of our amenities, our facilities, to ensure that those have what it is required to align with the programming needs. So if we have to add pickleball courts or add a building or renovate existing structures, add bathrooms, add a tennis court, whatever it may be, it will be the suggestion of the entire team to put within the plan, which we could then budget thereafter. Not to say that that would be etched in stone forever, needs change, but at least it gives us some guidance moving forward, in the near and long-term future.
And you will meet with
Everybody will
individually
be included. Commission, public outreach, absolutely, because it's for all of us, right? This is not
right
in-house. So yeah, we want to make sure that whatever we produce, at Community Park, we had a roller rink that we converted to tennis courts that we've now converted to pickleball courts. So over the years, needs change based on popularity, demand, et cetera, and that's what we're going to be looking at these particular parks.
Are we also addressing the needs for facilities, updated facilities?
Exactly. Yes, ma'am.
Facilities that may be 50 years old?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Very good. Further commission discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier?
Yes.
Commissioner Moss?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Segerson-Eaton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Mayor Harton?
Yes. Item 13 is a resolution.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, appointing blank to the Emergency Medical Services Advisory Board of the City of Pompano Beach for a term of 3 years. Said term to expire on June 12, 2027, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. I'll go ahead and nominate Woodrow Portier, incumbent, District 4. Are there any further nominations for this item? Hearing none, nominations closed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Item 14 is a resolution.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, appointing blank to the Emergency Medical Services Advisory Board of the City of Pompano Beach for a term of 3 years, said term to expire on August 12, 2027, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Are there any nominations for this item? I'll go ahead and nominate Frank Desidero, District 5, incumbent. Are there any further nominations for this item? Hearing none, nominations closed. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Item 15 is a resolution.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, appointing blank to the Emergency Medical Services Advisory Board of the City of Pompano Beach for a term of 3 years. Said term to expire on August 12th, 2027,
So moved.
Second.
providing an effective date.
So moved.
Very good. Moved and seconded for
Pause.
discussion. I'll go ahead and nominate Daniel DeBrecht, alternate 1, current alternate 1 from District 3. Are there any further nominations for this item? Hearing none, nominations closed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. And Kervin, I guess that means next time we can put an alternate position on?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you for that. That takes us up to item 16 as a resolution.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, appointing blank to the Planning and Zoning Board, local planning agency of the City of Pompano Beach for a term of 3 years, said term to expire on June 12, 2027, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second, Mayor,
Moved and seconded for discussion. I believe that was Commissioner Segerson-Eaton.
I'd like to nominate Robert Hartzell.
Hartzell, very good. Any further nominations for this item? Hearing none, nominations closed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Item 17 is a resolution.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, appointing blank to the Planning and Zoning Board, local planning agency of the City of Pompano Beach to fill the unexpired term of Lamar Paul Fisher Jr., alternate 1, said term to expire on June 12, 2025, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and second for discussion. I'll go ahead and nominate Cody Keiss for this item, District 3.
Mayor.
Commissioner Fournier?
I'd like to nominate David Mingus. I do know that Cody has relocated, so I don't know if this is update. I just know if this is up to date.
Okay.
I'd like to nominate David Mingus.
Okay, David Mingus has been nominated. Any further nominations? Hearing none, nominations closed. When your name is called, indicate your selection, Cody Keiss or David Mingus. Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
David Mingus.
Commissioner Moss,
David Mingus.
Commissioner Perkins,
David Mingus.
Commissioner Sigerson-Eaton,
Cody Keiss.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Cody Keiss.
Harton.
Cody Keiss. So you can bring that one back and we can investigate that, Kervin. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, that ends our regular agenda. Additional audience to be heard? Do we have any?
No, Mayor. No additional orders to be heard.
Our next scheduled meetings are June 20th, 2024 at 6 p.m. That's a joint special meeting of the city and the CRA. So that's at 6 o'clock on June 20th. June 25th at 4:45 is the Pompano Beach Finance Corporation meeting, followed by June 25th at 5 p.m., the City Commission Budget Workshop, followed by June 25th at 6 p.m., the regular City Commission meeting. So June 25th, we need to be here at 4:45. And of course, the 20th is the joint meeting. That takes us up to reports. Mr. Harrison, any report today?
Yes, sir. I have a couple of items.
Okay.
Wade, would you come up, please?
Uh-oh.
So our very own Wade Collum was recently given this prominent award by the national chapter of Arborists for Florida. So it's a very prestigious award, and proud to make it public for Wade.
Very nice. Congratulations, Wade.
So I'm sure he'll proudly put that in his office and make sure he knows how to introduce that to everybody that walks in.
Absolutely. With that green jacket, I thought you were going to say he won the Masters.
The green jacket.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Wade. All right. And we are in receipt. Actually, it was the Honorable Rhonda Sigerson-Eaton, Commissioner, who is in receipt of this letter from the Broward League of Cities thanking us for hosting. And I know that Rhonda spent a lot of time with staff and others on that, and they just appreciated our hospitality. So if you all would like to see this letter, I'll pass it on around.
Very good. Thank you.
That concludes my report, sir.
Very good. Thank you for that. Good report. City Attorney, Mr. Berman.
Thank you. I have no awards, and no one's thanking me for anything. However, I just want to say, let's go Panthers. That's it. That's my report. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Berman. Appreciate it. City Clerk, Mr. Alfred.
No report.
No report. Okay. That takes us up to City Commissioners. Commissioner Fournier.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few items. I want to first say thank you to Code Compliance. It is one of the toughest jobs out there, and there's a natural tension that exists. No one wants to get a letter from Code Compliance, but we are really fortunate to have Mario and the team we have. It makes all the difference, Mario. Thank you. Yep. We received a couple follow-up memos on topics that we had asked for. One was on baseball and the other's on the senior center, and I want to thank Parks and Rec for those. They were helpful context. With respect to baseball, I also want to congratulate Parks and Rec on the conclusion of our first rec baseball season. It was well run, it was organized, the kids had a great time, and a special congratulations to the 9U Trash Pandas and the 12U Tarpons who won the championships this season.
All right.
And then, yeah.
Here.
Two other things. Many residents of Garden Isles should have received a letter from the U.S. Coast Guard about the Six Terrace Bridge. There is a new public notice available that shows the detailed drawings, the 2 navigable channels, the increased clearance of over 2 feet. I think it's 27 inches higher. And there's a lot more detail online. There's a link in the letter. But we as a city, I know, are trying to move forward with this as quickly as we can. It is a long-awaited project that people have been looking forward to for years, if not decades. And we hear you, and we are making progress on that. And then lastly, there was a magazine in my mailbox called Florida Trend, and in it there was a really good article on Miami-Dade's new facility that's designed as an alternative to jail to address mental illness issues in the homeless population. The article was absolutely fascinating. In one part of it, it describes that 97 individuals in Miami-Dade had been arrested 2,200 times in 5 years, costing tens of millions of dollars with really no positive outcome for them. And Dade County is no different than Broward County. We have these repeat offenders that use shelters and jails as a revolving door. I know when the sheriff was here at the gun violence forum, he mentioned the county needing to step up and fund some kind of facility for mental illness to keep these people out of jails. So, Pompano is one of those cities that bears a disproportionate brunt of the homeless problem, given we have a shelter and some of the underlying dynamics of our city. So I do think it's time that we do so much as a city with our community court, with our homeless outreach team, with BSO, but I think it's time for us to start working with the county even more and pushing the county on some of these things that we're going to need in order to address our homeless population here. So I'm going to work on getting a trip set up to this facility in Miami. I know there's other people that want to join that and see what they're doing and continue dialogues with the county on what we can be doing, because there is a long lead time to building a facility like this, and we have a need here too. So thank you.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner Moss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On June 15th, the Collier City Homeowners Association is having its Scholarship Awards presentation. It will be held at 2440 West Cypress Creek Road. If you haven't purchased your ticket yet, you can purchase it from Phyllis Smith, president of the Collier City Civic Association. Also, on the 22nd of June, the Mount Pisgah Church in Collier City is having its annual health fair. That's basically in the morning and the early afternoon. So, and that'll do it for District 5. Thanks.
Very good. Commissioner Perkins.
Thank you, Mayor. I have some concerns with the parks, the park rangers. I called about, I guess, a month ago. I've never gotten a call back, but we do need some attention to be given to Weaver's Park. A lot of illegal stuff going on the park. Needs to be cleaned up. And also the Hunters Manor Park, the restrooms are not locked at sundown. So we have a lot of homeless people that we've moved from one location. They're now migrating at that particular park. So they're using the restrooms, and you're finding the needles and all of that in the restrooms. So they can, if I can get park rangers to lock the restrooms sundown. Lastly, about 2 months ago, I had the opportunity to walk my district, and I visited all of the homeless locations in my district. I couldn't believe what I saw and how established they are with these homeless. Some of the homeless areas are so organized that some of them have leaders. And you have to know that leader to stay or sleep on that property. And they're very organized. So I visited 8 in my district. I think it was 1 in your district, Commissioner Moss. And I'm aware that I thought we were slum and blight, but walking into these different homeless areas, it's almost like a third world. And I understand it's growing because of the new ordinance or whatever we have in place saying that they can't sleep on parks and hang out on sidewalks or sleep on the sidewalks. So because of that, they're setting up even more so where they're hidden. So I found these locations, walked into those locations, and when I tell you, you've got to experience it to understand it, it is critical. And I don't see it getting any better. Now, I know in the city we do have one person that's over the homeless, and then we have one person over BSO in Pompano over the homeless. And I really don't feel that's enough because I think it's really growing. And they know the places. They know they can't be out visible now, so they are hiding and they're building more locations. So I was told just 2 days ago there are 4 more locations in my district that I didn't know anything about. I thought I had covered all 8 of them, and there are 4 more that I need to go and see what's going on there. So they are really growing in this area, and I don't know, I know we do have family court, which is helping a lot, but I don't know how to resolve the issues, but I do know it's growing, and it's getting worse in the District 4 and 5. So I just wanted to, if I'm in order, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion and ask the city manager and or staff to look into perhaps forming a homeless committee. Maybe this committee can come up with some solutions. I don't know what they are. I want to take pictures so I can bring back and show you all, but I'm already uncomfortable being in there because all I had was my phone and my keys. So, but just to see how they live, and I drove by the one on Copens the other night, and when you look through the trees, you can see that they have televisions. They can, they have everything they need in there. So I don't know how to resolve it. I know some of the homeless people want help, some of them do not. And I don't know how to reach those that do. I don't know what to do, but I know this is a problem that's growing. And it's not going to go away until we address it. I know Cassandra is doing a great job, but I think it's just so much bigger than her. And I think having a committee to maybe help her out and come up with suggestions might help. I don't know, but I do know we have an assistant city manager I think it's Brian, that's on one of the homeless boards or something. Maybe he can bring something to the table. I don't know. But if I can get a second, I'd just like to make a motion to have the city manager and our staff look into forming a homeless committee to see what we can do to come up with solutions or to help resolve some of the issues we're having with the homeless group.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Vice Mayor and also Commissioner Fournier to create, Mr. Harrison, look into creating a committee to look into homeless issues.
Mayor, I would respectfully request that you allow me to give you all a report. There are a number of employees that we have that are working on this in addition to the one that Commissioner Perkins mentioned. So let me provide a report to you all and remind you of all of the things that we do have in place to combat this.
And when would that report be?
I'll have it for you before the next commission meeting.
Commissioner Perkins?
Okay. I still would like for you to look into trying to form a committee. What you have in place is probably good and working. I would like to see that. That would probably help. I think the more people we have involved and the more minds and thinking and ideas we can come up with is even better.
Okay.
So I'm glad to know that staff is doing something or working on something. I don't know what that might be, but I still like for you to look into, if I could, looking into a committee.
Okay.
Not
Very
so
good.
much a board, but a
I've got
committee.
Vice Mayor, I think, and then I've got Commissioner Fournier, and then we'll open it up to the public.
Yes, no, I know. I actually walked. We've had. They come in waves. Homeless issues on the beach, and I usually am reached out to by a resident to tell me where they are. And I walked our beach with one of our residents, who, after BSO, who is super responsive whenever we reach out to them, cleared one section, this resident walked me through and showed me other little pockets and little behind sea grapes or behind things that they are. So I definitely think that there's an opportunity, and from talking with this resident and some others, where the residents are extra eyes and ears out there and have some sort of direct contact or direct line to just alert, because I think one of the things that we can do is, is address as much as we can before they get set up, before they install, these communities of homeless people or regular places, and just keep on top of it. So I would love to just look into seeing how we can, and again, talking with residents, they're more than happy to volunteer to help do this and help just, because they're walking it anyways. It's their neighborhood, it's their morning route, and they see it, and they don't want to risk their own safety, obviously, we don't want any of that, but to be interactive and let us know as quick to real time as possible where there are problems so we can just get on it and address it. So I don't know exactly the structure of what we can do, but I think there's definitely something we can do to work with residents in areas too, to just add to the eyes and ears on the ground.
Okay, Commissioner Fournier.
Thank you, Mayor. I have spent a lot of time on this. I have done ride-alongs, multiple ride-alongs with our BSO homeless outreach team. We actually have 3 deputies on that team. I've been in communication with Cassandra Rett. She is quite an asset to our city, but she has a lot of struggles navigating the county processes. So we are fortunate that she has a Rolodex of people she can call when she needs to place somebody or she needs services, because that's what she's using. She's oftentimes not able to use the county resources and processes in the way that they are designed and funded. So these are encampments you're talking about. They are not something that I think the city, unfortunately, can go in and disband. The county, the problem is the county controls the funding for homeless issues. Dr. McGuire is a fabulous resource at the county, and she knows so much about this, but it's a huge job. So this partnership between the county and our city has to be strengthened. We have to be working with the county because they have the checkbook, right? So we spend money on homeless outreach with BSO and Cassandra, but beyond that, we don't have, in community court we have, but we don't have the resources and the funding to do this, but the county does, and they have access to a lot of money for housing. So we have a shelter in our city, and as a result of that, we end up with a disproportionate amount of homeless people. I was with Mayor Ross from Cooper City, and he was talking about his problems with garbage, and he doesn't have a homeless problem. So it was fascinating how he has such different problems than we have. He was telling reminding me that we didn't join the agreement for the waste plan, but so we don't have a problem with that. But what about our homeless issue? So every city has a different problem with this, and ours is bigger than a lot of cities. So we need to be at the county more than the rest of the cities advocating for the resources. And that means partnering with the sheriff on pushing the county to invest in a facility to triage these folks that have mental illness and that are using shelters and jails as a revolving door, then that's what we need to do. But we, as a city, need to find the right partnerships and be advocating for these resources, because we alone cannot solve this. Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Perkins, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, I think the committee is still a good idea. I know the city manager said staff is working on something, but it's just when you're hands-on and you go out and speak and you talk to them and find out what some of their problems are and why they're in the predicaments they're in, is something I don't think staff is doing. I think that we all know that the problem exists in the city, in the entire city, homelessness. But we're not really going, I don't know whether the city know where these locations I've been in, where they're located. But I just think if you look into trying to form a committee, and each of us, all of us commissioners choose one person to be on the committee or whatever to represent their area, whatever, would probably be a good start, in working with what you already have put together, Mr. City Manager, with the staff that's already existing. So, did I get a second? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was seconded, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Let's open it up to the public. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public? Please come forward. On the motion to create a homeless, a committee to look into homeless issues.
Yes, solutions.
Just name and address.
Okay, Shauna Thomas, 475 First Street in Pompano. The first thing that I would like to say is the first thing that would address this problem is putting a cap on rent and or making sure that the jobs that we have in Pompano are actually affordable for the living style that we have. The average person here in Pompano makes about $35K. All the new high-rises and apartment buildings that are coming up usually start at about $1,500 or $1,800. That means you're gonna need about $5,000 to move in and still have to pay for next month's rent. That is not necessarily sustainable or affordable for most of the people in Pompano. So that's usually why some people end up in housing or housing crisis.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but can you, let's stay focused on the creation of a committee. That's what that's what we're dealing with.
Basically what I'm about to necessarily address. So we wouldn't necessarily need those kinds of committees because those are the kind of resources that people actually need. So like capping rent, and like I said, also making sure that the jobs that we have available in Pompano are paying what they're worth would definitely be the start, or basically the solution to cutting down on this problem. As far as the committee, yeah, a committee would be nice, but like I said, without necessarily addressing the root problems, the only thing that a committee is gonna keep doing is having themselves a job as a committee. So I just wanna state that.
Very good, thank you for that. Next speaker, Ms. King. Just name and address for the record.
Sejan Kirian, 300 Gardens Drive, number 105 Pompano Beach. My name is Sejan Kirian. Good afternoon, Mayor and the Commissioners and Vice Mayor, City Manager and the Attorney. I want to thank Commissioner Perkins for bringing up that issue. I've been working on this homeless issue for about 5 to 6 years in the district that I live in right now. That is District 5, which is Commissioner Moss's district. Homeless issue has been there for a long period of time, and it is becoming an alarming stage for us residents to live in. Last time, I think about 6 months ago, we met, Mayor and I, when we were distributing food for the needy in that community. Like Ms. Perkins said, I'm also one of those residents who go to the homeless people and try to feed them. They're human beings. The major issue is they have a mental illness. It is by choice that they live there. So we are providing those space there. Yes, I'm coming back to it. We're providing space over there and making it okay for them to stay there. So how do we do that? Form a committee that has got some medically inclined people like myself. I work in a hospital. I know what behavioral health issues are. So if you appoint people who do not know how to address those issues, you're just gonna kick the can, and the problem is still gonna arise. So I'll be happy to volunteer my hours to help combat that, and we can all work together if that would be an opportunity. Thank you.
Very good, okay, thank you. Next speaker on the formation of a committee.
Tundra King, 124 Northwest 15th Street. The gentleman before me actually stole part of my answer, but I totally agree with Commissioner Perkins about establishing a committee to address the unhoused, and that it has to be particular people that have an interest in working with people that are unhoused and bringing their expertise to that committee. And I think the young lady that spoke as well talked about the income bracket, and some of these things have contributed to people being homeless. And I heard somebody say that I think Commissioner Vice Mayor McGee said that they go in waves. Well, not when I pass Blunt Road every day. There's 20, 30 people sleeping on the sidewalk. So we need this committee to work with Cassandra, to give her a hand, to work with Brad Sheriff's Office and Major Elwood and his team. They're doing a great job, but it's not enough. I mean, every day, like I'm trying to run a business and it's hard. it's not enough. We're pouring all the money into development, and that's great, but we need to pour some money into getting this committee, establishing a strong committee to work hand in hand with Major Elwood and his team and others that are interested in getting on this board that you're trying to, hopefully you'll form, and to really make a dent. We don't need to worry about June 20th if we don't pour some money into addressing our unhoused problem. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Next speaker, please come forward. Just name and address for the record. This is on the formation of a committee to investigate homelessness.
Jocelyn Jackson. I think before we make a decision today, my opinion is to see what city manager have proposed. We already paying staff to do a job. We see what they propose, what they come back with, then we can revisit this here. That's my recommendation. I don't think a committee should be formed because you're gonna have to then provide additional funding, because it would take additional funding. Right now, yes, it's volunteering. I trust and believe and I stand on it, because I'm always giving. It's gonna be money that need to be paid out for the committee. So let's give city manager opportunity to present to staff and to this commission chambers what he has to offer before we make a decision. That's my vote.
Very good, thank you for that. Further input from the public? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion on the motion.
Mayor?
I've got Commissioner Moss, Commissioner Fournier, then Commissioner Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Actually, I agree with Ms. Jackson. I think as a courtesy to the city manager, we should see what he has to say before we make any decisions about forming a committee. And before I would vote to form a committee, I would want to know what the parameters of the committee are, what it is they're expected to do, what they can and cannot do. I mean, it may be a very effective tool at combating homelessness, and it might just be another bureaucratic organization that does nothing but make a bunch of emotional speeches. So I would want to know more about what this committee is going to do, how it's going to do it, what power it has to do whatever it is it's going to do. But in the meantime, let's see what the city manager has to say before we make this decision. I don't object to a committee, but I'd need to know a little bit more than just saying, let's have a committee. Thanks.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner Fournier.
It's deja vu again. So back in September 12th, 2023, I made a motion to do the same exact thing. Commissioner Perkins, I think, seconded it, and we asked the city to look into this. So we were then, at the end of September 28th, 2023, received an email from Mr. Harrison because we did exactly that. We asked him to talk to staff and to look into it. We received an email from Mr. Harrison outlining all that the county does and saying that staff recommends continuing to work with the county advisory boards as opposed to starting a standalone advisory board at the city level. So we have the answer from staff. At the time that I made the motion, I described what Fort Lauderdale was doing, because Fort Lauderdale had just started I think it was a temporary 24-month committee with one business owner, one subject matter expert, and some other residents. They had just established this committee on homelessness, and I had made the motion saying, let's take a look at what they did and perhaps mimic it. So the answer from the city was no. So it's been a year. I think we should probably take a look at what happened in Fort Lauderdale and if that worked out, if they're still meeting, if it's been productive. But I think the bottom line is if we want to do this, we're going to have to make the motion to do it because the staff recommendation was not to do it. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Commissioner Perkins.
Thank you, Mayor. As the young lady was saying when she walked up to the podium, that money has to be paid out, and money does not have to be paid out. There are a lot of resources out there for this homeless situation. I don't have the solutions. I just know that from past experiences, there's a disconnect when it comes to staff and the residents living in the community. And I think if staff was doing something, we would see a little bit of something going on. I've never heard of what they're doing, how they're doing it all of a sudden. And whatever we're doing is not working and we need to do something. I'm not quite sure what this committee should consist of, and I'm asking the city manager to look into that because we have to come up with some kind of guidelines as to how do we get rid of or eliminate homelessness in the city of Pompano Beach? It's not my expertise. I mean, I don't know. I just know what I've experienced. And I know that it's not going away and it's getting worse. Because I think the governor just signed something, a few months or whatever ago and say they cannot sleep in public places. But if you leave here right now and just drive down Blunt Road, they're lined up on the sidewalk, sleep, with blankets and all of that over them. And that's been going on for years. If you just anytime drive over there and just ride, you'll see somebody sleep on the sidewalk. So I have no idea what staff is doing, but this is just another way to say, let's just try it. I know 2 or 3 people in my district that are interested in wanting to do something, but I'm thinking if we come together and do it collectively with BSO and with Cassandra, perhaps we can come to some kind of resolution as to how we can better put a handle on this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sigerson.
Thank you. So I too am not opposed to a committee, but I know that some of these encampments can be very, very dangerous. There was one just down the road from me where there was a homicide investigation. There's fires that are being set, and one person has died. So, I mean, who is qualified to interact with a substance abuser or go into these camps and confront people? I just don't think that if that's what you're speaking of for a committee to be, I don't think we can. I certainly wouldn't do it. And on the same side of that coin, many times these areas are vacant lands that are privately owned, and you're essentially asking people to trespass onto these properties. So I'm really not sure, and we all know it's a very, very difficult problem, and that the county likes to take responsibility. They also like to take the credit. They're building low-income housing. They're expanding some of their programs. They're getting money from the federal government, and we're looking at more affordable housing with Live Local, and the county's doing that over on 31st. And in my understanding and dealing with some folks that deal with the homeless every day from a religious standpoint, they're finding that the homeless, there's the chronic homeless, the substance abusers, and people who don't want any help. And now currently with sort of a housing shortage and the unaffordability of getting a home or getting into an apartment, what that group is seeing more of people in crisis of being homeless, or one paycheck away, or if they lose their job, or if something happens, they're in danger of becoming homeless. I mean, we do a lot, and I don't understand exactly what this committee is meant to achieve, particularly, and so it's not clear, and I think we should have a little more information about what is hoped to be achieved by this committee, because
That's what I'm asking the city
I
manager.
can sit around and I can say, yeah, the homeless problem is terrible. I have no idea what to do about it. I don't have a solution. And at some point, I'd like to get to my report. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, let me just say this, Mayor.
I've got Commissioner Perkins and back to Vice Mayor. Go ahead,
Okay,
Chris.
I just want to make the record clear that I'm not asking anyone to trespass on anyone's property to see anything. That's just what I do. I mean, when I get out my car at my home, I feel unsafe. That's the kind of neighborhood I live in. But I'm not asking anyone to trespass or go and see what I saw in my district. I'm not asking anyone to do that. I wouldn't even ask a board or a committee to do that.
You did it.
That's just what I do. I'm not expecting anyone else to do that.
Okay.
So I'm asking the city manager to come up with something. I did hear about the fire in your district. I am aware of that location as well. But what I'm saying is, whatever the city manager has been doing, it's not working either. That's all I'm saying. It's just, whatever it is, it's just not working, or it's not reaching those people in those areas that need the help. Thank you.
Very good. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, first, I think, and Commissioner Perkins, correct me if I'm wrong, but the motion is for the city manager to look into and bring us back a structure of a committee, something that we could do.
Yes,
And find
exactly.
out what it is, to take that next step, to see what a structure could look like. Because I think from this discussion, one thing is sure is that each district has different types of homeless, whether it's an encampment, whether it's more transient, whether it's in businesses, whether it's hiding in parks. So, each district is different. And I think that's where having community involvement is excellent. It's the eyes that see what staff might not see, that the county isn't, they're not walking on the sidewalks every day, every morning. I have one resident who walks the beach every morning about 6 a.m. And so whenever there's a little homeless tent that's packed up, I get an email about 6:30 a.m. that's where it is. And, I relay it to BSO, and they address it and are on top of it. And that's where I think, at least for my district, is a great opportunity to have people that come to us, get some level of training with BSO. So we don't have residents, dealing directly and putting themselves in danger, but that they can be extra people on the road because it's their home, it's their neighborhoods. They're seeing things that we may not see. They might have taken the route that goes behind one building instead of the route I go on a different building, and they see something that I don't, or someone else doesn't see, or the BSO can't see from whichever route they take. And so that's what I think is the value of something like this is, again, just more eyes, ears, and brains on this. Because this is not a problem that I think anyone has the answer to alone. It's nationwide. It's the mental health crisis, the criminal crisis, in my district, the fact we have showers that are sitting there right on the beach that people can use. So yeah, there's a lot of factions on this that I do think that we have to figure out what the committee is going to be.
Who is we?
I guess all of us.
Yeah.
I guess staff first, bring it back to us, then we discuss it more, and BSO input too. But I think we should definitely take that next step, because as Commissioner Fournier pointed out, we've had the conversation before, and I agree we need to do more.
Commissioner Moss?
Well, I'm confused. Is the motion to create a committee, or is the motion to have the city manager look into the possibility of forming a committee?
That's it. I asked to look into the possibility of forming a committee.
Okay.
Right, well, that was not my understanding, but that's fine. I will just say this, piggybacking on what Commissioner Fournier said, if the power and the money resides with the county, and we form an advisory board or a committee for homeless people, which I have absolutely no objection to whatsoever, is it going to wind up being like our education advisory board? They have no power to do anything. They don't do anything, not because they don't want to do anything and they don't try to do anything, but they have no power. They have no authority. And if we're going to set up another board that has no power and no authority, what's the point of it? So again, if the motion is to have the city manager look into the possibility of, what the hell? But I would very much like to see what the city manager has to say with this report he's going to give us before our next meeting. So I think voting to establish a committee is too early. Voting to find out about the possibility of it, sure, why not?
Thank you, Commissioners. Because Commissioner Perkins, I wanted to clarify that also. So
Okay.
your motion is to direct the city manager to come back with ideas on a homeless
Committee.
of
Yes.
some sort. It's not to create
Yes.
the committee at this point.
Well, yes, I do want to create a committee. I want him to look into how we go about creating
Okay.
a committee so that it can be effective in trying to resolve the issues we have with homelessness.
Okay, so I'm just trying to nail down what the exact motion is that you're getting at, though, because it's different to create a committee versus direct staff to come back with ideas on how to create the committee.
No, I want him to look into, I want the city manager to look into creating a committee for the homelessness.
Okay.
Okay, I want to also say to Commissioner McGee, thank you so much for finally listening to me when you just said our districts are different. I've been trying to say that for years, and you just said it. Thank you. I'm glad you know that.
Okay.
We should be one.
So the motion is to direct the city manager to come back with ideas on creating the homeless committee.
Yes.
Okay, it's not to create the committee at this time, okay?
No, not to create it, to
Right.
bring
Okay.
back.
And it was seconded by Commissioner Fournier, I believe, and Vice Mayor McGee. Okay, so that's the motion. Okay, that's different than creating a committee.
No.
Okay? Very, very good. Any further discussion on the motion to direct the city manager to come back with ideas on how to create a homeless committee? One more discussion. Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier?
Yes.
Commissioner Moss?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Segerson Eaton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Mayor Harden?
Yes. Mr. Perkins, you still have the floor.
I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Move on. Commissioner Segerson Eaton.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, so, I just wanted to also thank Mario and his code enforcement team. I work with them so much, and they really do have a hard job, but they do it, and they do it well. And I also wanted to give a shout out to the men and women of the of the Pompano Beach Police Force, Major Elwood, Lieutenant Hopkins, and all the men and women who participated in the Operation Traeger Lock for that success and your ongoing diligence and dedication to the city. Captain Stallings, see you there, sir. So that's all I have. So thank you very much. Appreciate you all. Thank you.
Very good. Vice Mayor.
I just wanted to give a big congratulations and thank you to staff who worked with Shipwreck Park and Wahoo Bay for the installation of the swim platform and hosting the first field trip to come check out our budding mangrove system that will continue to grow and bring in all sorts of wildlife and interesting things to Wahoo Bay. So thank you.
Very good. Mr. Harrison, I just wanted to follow up on the homeless issue, but you will get us the information on what staff has been doing and all that kind of stuff as soon as possible, or you can bring that at the same time, I guess, whichever you choose to do, but just letting us know. And also, if you have any recommendations from staff level on how a magic bullet for solving the homeless issues, I mean, because if we don't have to create a committee, let's not create a committee, but if we don't have any magic bullet, or I guess we'll see what happens there. But yeah, get us the information if you would. Appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, that's all I've got. Thank you. This meeting's adjourned.